A former Walmart employee with Down syndrome has been awarded $125 million in punitive damages after a Green Bay grand jury determined that her firing in 2015 violated the Americans with Disabilities Act. Marlo Spaeth worked at the Walmart store in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. That's where the Making of a Murderer guy was, wasn't it? Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Weird things go on in Manitowoc. I think I'm mispronouncing it. She worked at the Walmart store for nearly 16 years and consistently received positive performance evaluations, but was fired after she filed a disability-related request for a change in hours, according to a news release from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Space's shift was changed from a 12 to 4 p.m. shift to a 1 to 5:30 p.m. shift after the store introduced a computerized scheduling system in 2014. Because of the schedule change, Spaeth feared she would miss her bus home and would be forced to miss meals. According to the lawsuit, Spaeth's condition requires that she maintain a rigid daily schedule, including eating dinner at the same time every night to avoid falling ill. Fucking Walmart wants to talk about how good they are to people with disabilities and how they employ them. Then they do bullshit like this. Despite the request, Walmart bosses refused to switch Spaeth's schedule back, and 8 months later, the retailer terminated her contract and refused to rehire her. Such alleged conduct violates the ADA, which prohibits discrimination based on an employee's disability. Many have expressed outrage on social media by using the hashtag boycott Walmart. Absolutely. I highly encourage you to boycott Walmart for a whole host of reasons. This story should infuriate. If this is what pushes you over the edge to get you to boycott Walmart, I'm all for it. There are plenty of reasons to boycott Walmart, and chief among them is going and giving your money to Walmart is basically sucking the money out of your local economy and sending it straight to Bentonville, Arkansas. And they're bougie asses. The jury here recognized and apparently was quite offended that Miss Spaeth lost her job because of needless and unlawful inflexibility on the part of Walmart. Miss Spaeth's request was a simple one, and denying it profoundly altered her life. Walmart fired a 16-year top-notch employee because she has a disability. The company was hit with a $125 million verdict, but will only pay $300,000 because that's the most a company can be fined. This is what right-wingers mean when they say shit like tort reform. This is it. Tort reform. Meaning they put a cap on what you can sue for damages. That's what I'm saying. That's why I had I skipped over all the articles that came up first, and that's why I was sad that the access was denied to the one article that we were reading. So I knew it covered this aspect of it because I wanted to get pissed off about it. Walmart makes $300,000 every 17 fucking seconds. It's not even a slap on the wrist to them. It's like a fly buzzing around their ear. It's not even a bee sting. Only pay $300,000. Even though Marlo Spaeth was awarded the $125 million, Walmart argued the amount would be reduced to $300,000 because of a federal law that caps compensatory and punitive damages. We do not tolerate discrimination of any kind, and we routinely accommodate thousands of associates every year, Walmart said in remarks reported by the New York Times. Fuck you, Walmart. That's just a PR statement. They do not support people with disabilities. They exploit people with disabilities. I corrected it. They exploit people with disabilities. Don't even get me started on goddamn Goodwill. And that's the thing, like, I want to talk about this shit so much more on this show. I want to talk about worker issues because, like, that's one of my main causes. But unfortunately, we do have to talk about Trump and his bullshit and stupid ass lab leak theories and all the right wing nonsense because that's what dominates our lives. Fuck. We don't get to talk about the shit that's actually important. Goodwill, the store. Okay, so they are very, very braggadocious about how they, first of all, they operate as a for-profit. They're very and they don't. They don't actually operate. They operate as a for-profit while having not-for-profit status. But they pay their associates that have disabilities like fucking 70 cents on the dollar. And then pat themselves on the back like, we're the only people that would employ these people. And it is like, you know, really simple work, going back and like, you know, sorting garments and removing hangers or putting in hangers and everything, like super, super simple work. And it is like, you know, some of the people with the worst disabilities that can still function in a job are what Goodwill are employing. And just to me, that's just atrocious. They're a 30 million, 40 million something dollar a year company, at least 100 million. And like, you can't pay fucking $10 a fucking hour. I know there's also things about people that are on fixed income, Social Security, drawing disability and shit about being able to earn an income. And that there's certain requirements for them. But it seems highly exploitative to me. Any entity in capitalism is suspect. I would be interested to hear about that, Stark Rogan. I did a few stories when like the Goodwill opened in my town. I was a news reporter. We did several, you know, positive stories on them. That seems pretty commensurate, like 24 for a master's level. I mean, it's low. It is absolutely low, but in terms of like the market value right now, I don't know that that's not like actually pretty good. It's amazing that they're not offering you $10 an hour with a master's level. I don't know. I don't know what a Savers is. If it's religious, I would automatically be suspicious of it. All right, so I don't even know what Fred Meyer is. I just wanted to cover a strike because I think strikes are awesome. Does anybody in the chat know what a Fred Meyers is? Oh, shit.
Washington could walk off the job, and that could cause regional supply chain issues for 180 Fred Meyer stores, including dozens of them here in Washington state.
I thought their workforce was pretty geared towards people with disabilities. Which is cool unless you're using it to exploit them to up your bottom line. And that seems like what they're doing.
Al Thomas is joining us now live from a Fred Meyer in Tacoma. And Al,
is this a Pacific Northwest entity?
The work stoppage could be announced as soon as midnight tonight. We're expecting that around 12:01. Here's the thing, though. This is all stemming from a single distribution center that's in Puyallup. And if those workers were to walk out, every single one of these 180 stores, this one included in Washington and 3 other states, would really be feeling the brunt impact of that. Now, we're told contract negotiations were underway between the union that represents all of those workers. It's called Teamster Local 117, and the grocery change. After 4 sessions, the union says they didn't make a lot of progress, and a new contract was...
Wait, is Kroger part of it, or are they owned by the same company?
Today. So they voted to strike. That received unanimous support. That's 335 workers backing this strike. We spoke with the union. They say.
Are you saying it's just like a Kroger?
Standards that were set in place by Fred Meyer in the onset of the pandemic.
That's probably what you meant. I'm stoned. Or not stoned enough. I don't know.
Until their demands are met.
Fred Meyer, what it means for them is it'd be a big problem for them. They shouldn't allow it to happen.
They own them. Okay.
We are an essential part of the food chain, and that didn't start with the pandemic. We were essential long before. We've just been recognized during the pandemic.
Indeed, this dude is right on the money. Well, if Kroger owns them, I'll stop shopping because one of the reasons why I use Kroger, I prefer my local grocery store, but I can't have it delivered to me. So I go through Kroger because the workforce is unionized. But if like they're part of the strike, I'll totally not cross the picket line. I'll go to Publix for a little while. I don't like Publix either, but I can have Publix delivered. But I'll avoid Kroger.
But that recognition has not translated to the working conditions and the wages and compensation packages that we need.
In a statement to Cairo 7, a spokesperson with Fred Meyer says, quote, "Our company will continue to pursue a fair and balanced contract that honors associates and keeps the company competitive."
Now, I'm ashamed of myself because I crossed the Frito-Lay picket line.
We do not anticipate any disruption.
Fucking Sparkles and I argued over where we were going to eat for so long.
Right now, it is business as usual. But
all we could go to was Taco Bell.
Just finalized a successful contract with Safeway, so they're really hoping that Fred.
And I'm like, oh, I'll get one of these Baja Blast, whatever the fuck thing it was, and I didn't even realize, like, oh, that's a PepsiCo.
Definitely being felt regionally. Live in Tacoma, Elle Thomas, Cairo 7 News.
And you know, we've seen supply chain delays throughout the pandemic for different reasons. We know they can have a big impact. We'll see what happens here. Thanks, Elle.
Oh, was it a Fred Meyer where that happened, where they had the guards? I think we watched video or we saw the pictures of, I think it was pictures, where they were protecting the dumpster. Oh man, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I apologize to the Frito-Lay workers that I had a Pepsi product over the weekend. Usually it's really easy for me to not like a Frito-Lay. I don't eat anything from fucking Hundreds of workers are on strike at the Frito-Lay plant in Topeka, Kansas. Many of them are working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, and some haven't had a day off in 5 months, conditions that are literally killing them. At the Frito-Lay production plant in Topeka, Kansas, workers are subjected to something called suicide shifts, in which they come in for 8 hours, are forced to work 4 more hours, and then are called in 4 hours early, leaving them only 8 hours off between shifts. This is how the company forces overtime to the point that many of those workers say they work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, with some not having had a day off in 5 months, weekends included. The company recently sent us a letter saying those shifts are called squeeze shifts, but none of us had heard that term before. I think they're just trying to make it sound better. What prompted the letter was workers' willingness to speak out about the anxiety that pervades their shop. One of the reasons that they are now on strike, that is entering its 3rd week. The plant employs some 850 people, and workers have spoken of the deleterious. But I'm going to look up.
Deleterious.
I think I was close in pronunciation there.
Deleterious.
Causing harm or damage. Speaking of the deleterious efforts of such inhumane working conditions. As Mark McCarter, a 59-year-old palletizer, I assume it's somebody who works with pallets, and union steward at the plant, who has worked there for 37 years, told Vice, "It seems like I go to one funeral a year for someone who's had a heart attack at work, or someone who went home to their barn and shot themselves in the head or hung themselves." At the Topeka plant, production has only increased during the pandemic. As people were used to working overtime around holidays, they say they are now being pushed to their limits year-round as people across the United States upped their intake of products made, packaged, and shipped out of the Topeka Lay's plant. I'm sorry, I fucked that one up. Shipped out of Topeka. Lay's potato chips, Tostitos, Cheetos, Sun Chips, Fritos, Doritos. Fuck, I had a Doritos Loco Taco too. I'm so sorry. God, I am horrible. I am a horrible leftist. And like, I've had Taco Bell twice in the last 5 years. And I have it when they're on fucking strike. God damn. The result for the workers was misery. For the company, it was more than $4.2 billion in sales, and both times was with Sparkles. She likes Taco Bell for some reason. Like, she's sitting over there eating it like, ooh, my asshole's gonna be on fire tomorrow. Ah! As my new co-host for the Friday Night Freak Show, premiering Friday the 13th. The result for the workers was misery. For the company, it was more than $4.2 billion in sales, partially responsible for a 14% spike in revenue for its parent company, PepsiCo, a Fortune 500 company with a rising stock. Despite such good fortune, the company continues to treat workers with less care than it treats its machines. There is no concern for upkeep, only for wringing every last bit of labor from their bodies, even if it kills them. To be worked to death to produce potato chips, hard to imagine something so insulting and cruel. Yep.